This is a video where we will not agree. I haven't done it in 2 years, but it's always a very divisive video. And what does that mean? It's not a rhetorical question. I'm genuinely asking, what does that mean? I don't know. And come to think of it, I also don't know what rhetorical means. But this is my quarterback tier list for 2025. Again, we're not going to agree on this. And I will be explaining everything as thoroughly as I can. 2 years ago, I did have a bunch of categories as well. And I've got a bunch of categories this year, explaining them. Elite. These are the best of the best. You can't really do much better than these guys. With these players at quarterback, they are going to completely elevate the team. I think regardless of situation, would be really effective quarterbacks. Again, regardless of situation. However, tier 2 seems similar. Team elevators regardless of situation. It's the next tier down. Players that could take that step up. Players that I believe in. That I think would be good anywhere, but maybe not quite to the level of the guys above them. Tier 3s can win with enough talent. I think this is self-explanatory. These guys can be on very successful teams. They're good enough to get the job done. If you surround them with enough talent, you're going to be fine. You can do a lot worse than these guys. Tier 4 is where things start to get interesting because we have players that are very, very different that I might value about the same just for 2025. On the verge of taking a step or falling off completely. So we could see these guys take a big step up and become, true franchise guys, or players that are holding on that it's probably going to be about their last ride this year. We're going to start with Joe Burrow. I'm going to throw him straight in elite. I think Joe Burrow is one of the best 4 quarterbacks in the NFL, probably. Do I think he's on the level of the top 3? I think he's absolutely close enough. But to me, Joe Burrow is probably the 4th best quarterback in the league. Maybe some of that is biased due to their recent lack of success. But that's really more on the defense than anything else. And Joe Burrow can't play defense, which is going to be a trend for some of the quarterbacks we'll talk about later. I think he's one of the best 4 quarterbacks in the league. He's absolutely elite. Maybe he's number 3 in the league. He's very, very good as we move on to Anthony Richardson. I'd love to throw Anthony Richardson in unproven but promising because I like Anthony Richardson. I think the tools are incredible. It just doesn't seem like he's ever going to put it together, and it doesn't really seem like he's going to get the opportunity to. I think the moment that he basically quit on his team last year and got benched because he took himself out of the game because he was tired. The tools are obviously fantastic, but you've got to have more than that to be able to play quarterback in the NFL, and Anthony Richardson has not shown that he can do that. And he can't stay healthy either. It seems very similar to a Trey Lance type of thing. So I'm gonna move Anthony Richardson to unproven, but expectations are low. I just don't know that he's ever going to amount to anything. I think he needed a real chance to develop and sit for a while, and it didn't happen. And that Colts regime is probably due for a couple of changes pretty soon. As we get to Trevor Lawrence, this is a really weird one because Trevor Lawrence, I feel like, can be great. And he's also not been in a good situation. Jacksonville's been truly awful, and receivers do not like catching the ball from Trevor Lawrence. It's consistent drops. The O-line play has not been very good, but also Trevor Lawrence is not perfect. I think with Liam Cohen coming in, I think with better weapons offensively, and the O-line taking a step forward, I think Trevor Lawrence could be on the verge of a very, very good season. I think he's absolutely flashed, but is he truly in one of these top tiers yet? Obviously not. I think he's on the verge of taking a step up. We'll see. Is Trevor Lawrence ever going to live up to that number 1 overall pick billing? I think it's possible. I really think it's possible. Still very young. Oftentimes, we don't see quarterbacks truly take that next big step until their late 20s or even into their 30s, right? So I think the jury is still very much out on Trevor Lawrence. We'll see if he ends up taking that next step up and moving into one of these top couple of tiers. We'll see. Cam Ward. I'm going to say unproven but promising. Cam Ward is very talented. He's one of these toolsy quarterbacks. I don't know that he's got the strongest arm in the league, but it is quite good. And he's able to throw multiple different styles of passes, not just Anthony Richardson where it's a bullet. He's able to layer these throws in, hit different levels of the field, be successful. I want to see if he's able to play more refined and in structure in the NFL because he's going to have to. If you look at what Brian Callahan got out of Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. It isn't just, hey, Joe Burrow, go improvise and make a play. Now, he's able to do that. Burrow's pocket mobility is maybe the best in the entire NFL, or it's up there at the very least. And Cam Ward oftentimes will play hero ball and get himself into trouble, but I think he's able to play more in structure. We can see some truly great moments out of Cam Ward so that when he does improvise, it's actually necessary and it's able to create a big-time play. Obviously, haven't really seen any of Cam Ward, but I'm able to put him in this top tier because I think he is promising. And we don't know exactly what he is yet. We know he's the number one overall pick, maybe not the best number one overall pick ever, obviously, but I prefer him over a lot of these quarterbacks on the list because I think there is potential there at the very least. Patrick Mahomes, straight up into elite. I think Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, obviously. Is he the clear number one like he was for a couple of seasons? I don't think so, just because his individual production has worsened, but is there a quarterback I would prefer more in the clutch? There isn't. Patrick Mahomes is that guy. He's a playmaker. The O-line and the playmakers have hurt him at times, but if you had to give me a pick of any quarterback in the league, Mahomes is still probably the first name I'm going to say, even though his numbers haven't been as good the past couple of seasons. We know what Mahomes is. He is phenomenal and will make a team better around him. He finds a way. He finds a way. Justin Herbert. This might be the most divisive player on this entire list because some people think Justin Herbert, a lot of J quarterbacks. But Justin Herbert, a lot of people think, is like not even good. Let me remind you that Justin Herbert does not play defense. If you go out there as a quarterback and lead your offense to 30-plus points and your team loses, it's not on the quarterback. Yes, you would like to see the quarterback elevate even more, and if you need 40, he'll get you 50, right? But how many teams go out and score 50 points? The Chargers' defense has been so bad. The weapons with the Chargers have been so bad, yet Justin Herbert still finds a way to be incredibly effective and productive. I think people point to lack of playoff success and say, hey, he stinks. He's a young quarterback. Sometimes it's a game a year, and if you don't have your A game for one game a year, does that make you a bad quarterback? I think we just haven't seen enough. Justin Herbert is absolutely in the tier 2 of quarterbacks for me. I think he's close to jumping up to that top tier. If we can get him some actual weapons, like Joe Burrow has T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. O-line has been a little shaky over the years, right? But who does Justin Herbert have? Not Mike Williams being good anymore. Not Keenan Allen being good anymore. Look at what they had last year. It's Quentin Johnston, Darius Davis, Josh Palmer, who's not even there anymore. And then you're throwing a Donald Parham as one of your top weapons. I get Ladd McConkey. He's a beast. But you needed more. And Justin Herbert, I think, has still been fantastic. I love Herbert. I will not apologize. I think he's in the tier 2 of quarterbacks. If you want to point to team success and say this guy stinks, I think you're a fool. Next up, Bo Nix. Bo Nix, I think, is fairly unproven, but promising. I think Bo Nix could absolutely get into can win with enough talent, for sure. I think you could make an argument for on the verge of taking a step or falling off completely, but obviously not falling off completely. I think for the rookies last year, I'm more inclined to put them in unproven but promising. It would not surprise me to see Bo Nix get up into can win with enough talent, but I want to see what he does in year 2. The numbers were very good as a rookie, absolutely no question. For me, there's more to the formula than just being productive, although I think he was very, very solid as a rookie. I think he is an unproven but promising. I don't think he's a top 15 quarterback at this point, but I think he's trending in that direction, and for a younger guy, I just want to see a little bit more, and then we can talk about moving Bo Nix up. As we talk about Geno Smith, he is absolutely in this tier for me, on the verge of taking a step up or falling off completely. Does he necessarily fit into either of those? I think Geno is probably at the top of this tier. And then you can obviously make an argument for can win with enough talent. Geno's underrated, probably at this point. He's been a very, very solid quarterback over the past few years. He has absolutely ascended from backup level. He's progressed, and he's got legitimate arm talent. Geno does not have a noodle arm. This guy can make pretty much every throw on the field. He's a really, really solid player, and I think you could absolutely make the argument for can win with enough talent. He might be a name that we revisit at the end of this as we get to Jared Goff, who I think is also in that same tier. Goff has been very, very productive. No question. I worry about what he looks like with Ben Johnson leaving. I know the offense isn't likely to change all that much, but Goff to me has never been this guy that just is this big team elevator, but he can do enough with talent around him, with a really good play caller that can put Goff in situations to be effective. He's got a pretty good arm, of course, and I think with enough talent, you can win with Jared Goff, absolutely. But I don't know that he's quite in this tier 3 of quarterbacks. But again, he's probably near the top, and we will reevaluate in a bit. As we get to J.J. McCarthy, I think he's unproven but promising. He has a good arm. He's got good overall athleticism, and he's in a really, really good situation. I look at Minnesota, Kevin O'Connell. He's able to get so much out of these guys, and there are legitimate playmakers in Minnesota. You got to keep that offensive line healthy, but when they are, they're very good. At least the tackles. Darisaw, O'Neal, I think are fantastic. You look at the receivers. Obviously, tight ends in a decent spot, but receivers are incredible with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. McCarthy's going to a perfect situation. Was robbed of a lot of development his rookie year, potentially playing, but hopefully was able to learn a lot by not playing. Maybe the injury was the best thing that could have happened to him, and he's ready to attack things in year 2, which is really going to be his year 1. Jordan Love. Jordan Love, to me, is a team elevator regardless of the situation. He's got incredible arm talent. He's able to make pretty much every throw on the field. He needs to make fewer mistakes, but we can say that of, really everybody on this list. The tier 1 guys are on a different level, but Jordan Love, I think, is fairly close. He is a really, really good quarterback to me. He's a top 10 player in the league at his position, and that gets you into tier 2. I think put Jordan Love pretty much anywhere, he would be successful. I don't think he needs, okay, I'm in Green Bay, I've got LaFleur, I'm good to go. He's the one doing the heavy lifting. I think it was kind of the case for Ben Johnson and Jared Goff. I think Jordan Love, regardless of spot, would find a way to be successful. As we get to Kenny Pickett, we can surely do better than Kenny Pickett. Sorry, he's a backup. Caleb Williams is unproven but promising. Caleb had talent around him last year, although the O-line was really not good. Sure, Caleb definitely ran into some sacks, held the ball a little bit too long, for sure. The O-line has been revamped. Ben Johnson coming into Chicago. The weapons could not really be better. You look at receiver. Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Luther Burden is a really good trio. Add Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet at tight end with Joe Thuney on the offensive line, big trade piece. They're just getting better everywhere, surrounding Caleb with talent. I think he's poised to take a huge step up, and I don't think it would be weird to see Caleb Williams jump up into this second tier of quarterbacks following this season. However, I could also see him kind of remain in this same range or only jump up one tier. It takes a while for these younger quarterbacks to develop sometimes, and I think Caleb Williams could absolutely elevate, have a really good season. These tiers aren't necessarily ordered, but I think Caleb has the best chance of taking the biggest step up this year compared to pretty much anyone. As we'll get to Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a bit of an interesting one because some people think he's elite. I don't see Jalen Hurts in that elite tier. I also don't think he's a team elevator regardless of situation. Jalen Hurts, I think, is solid, and he does what he does at a really high level. He's a great mobile quarterback. He's a great running quarterback. Is he good everywhere? That's the thing where I don't really buy it watching him, and I don't think he was particularly great last year on an individual level. However, when you look at that offensive line, it's one of the best offensive lines of all time. One of the best I've ever seen. You look at the receivers. It's a great receiving core. Arguably the best overall in the league. Arguably. It's in that top 5 realm for sure. When you factor in, healthy Dallas Goedert, but especially A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. And again, the O-line is one of the best ever. The defense is amazing. One of the best in the league, without question. Saquon Barkley, arguably the best running back in the league, right? The situation simply could not be any better. I don't know that Jalen Hurts is doing what he's doing anywhere. I don't. And that's why he's in tier 3 for me. You can do a lot worse than Jalen Hurts, but I also think you can do better. As we get to Jaden Daniels, and I think Jaden Daniels, for me, if I'm going to be aggressive, is a team elevator regardless of situation. I think the way he separates himself from Jalen Hurts, I think he's a better passer. And I think he's better as a runner. So it's tough for me to look at Jaden Daniels' individual skill set and say he's worse than Jalen Hurts when I think he pretty much does everything better. So I'm going to put Jaden Daniels in that tier 2. That's being a little bit aggressive. How much am I factoring in team success there? I think it's incredible that the Commanders were able to go to an NFC Championship game in Jaden Daniels' rookie season based on picking Jaden Daniels at number 2 the draft before. It's the change, the shift when Jaden Daniels got to Washington could not be understated. Or overstated, I should say. He was incredible. I'm being aggressive with this ranking. I think he's at the back end of this tier, probably, because I do want to see more, but he was just on another level last year, and I think, for me, he's got to be in tier 2 as we get to Dak. Dak, I think, can win with enough talent. He is probably underrated at this point. Dak's really good. I think he does everything pretty well. He's a really good thrower of the football, which is valuable at quarterback. I think his pocket presence is really good. I think Dak is really, really solid. He's dealt with some injuries. I think maybe that makes us reevaluate what we think of him as a quarterback, and we maybe put him down the board a little bit. Listen, I hate the Cowboys as much as anybody, but I think Dak's a really, really solid quarterback, and I think he's one of the more underrated players in the league because based on being a Cowboy and based on lack of playoff success for the Cowboys, it's really easy to hate Dak and think Dak sucks. But Dak's really solid. Really, really solid. And I think he's, fringe top 10 QB in the league, which gets you right into tier 3. As we get to Russell Wilson. You could make an argument that we can surely do better than this, but I think Russell Wilson's in a tier far above Kenny Pickett. And he's not unproven. I think we know what Russell Wilson is, and it's not great. But this is a starter in the NFL. It's not amazing, but how many amazing quarterbacks are there? I think Russell Wilson fits into this category very solidly. As we move to Jackson Dart. I think Jackson Dart is unproven but promising. He's looked very good in the preseason. I was worried about how he would translate to the NFL and Brian Daboll's offense because it's so different from what he was asked to do at Ole Miss. We knew he could throw the ball very well, but I feel like the processing has already been fairly impressive for Jackson Dart. We need to keep in mind in the preseason you're facing what I would say vanilla defenses, right? You're not seeing much disguised. It's just your stock, basic, sometimes cover 0, but cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4. You're not seeing a ton of different variations generally in the preseason. It's just your stock, bog standard coverage. So if you're a good quarterback, especially playing against backups, you should be able to slice and dice. And that's pretty much what we've seen from a lot of these quarterbacks in the preseason. It's what we should be seeing, but to see it so early from Jackson Dart, I think is promising, and the tools are fairly good. I would be ecstatic if Jackson Dart became an above-average starter in the league. I've been praying for it as a Giants fan. As we get to Jameis Winston, I think Winston is one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league, but if he's your starting quarterback, that's not great. I think he's a great team guy, great locker room guy. I love having Jameis Winston on the Giants, but in terms of a starting quarterback, we can do better than Jameis Winston. I love Jameis, but we can do better. Baker jumps to can win with enough talent. Last time I did a list like this, I made one category explicitly for Baker Mayfield. It was titled, Show Me Even the Slightest Hint of You Being Good, and I'll believe again. I'll get ready to hurt again, damn it. And Baker is back. Shocking that he didn't work out in Cleveland. He had one of the greatest rookie quarterback seasons of all time. Had, including interim head coaches, 4 different head coaches in 3 years. Not to mention offensive coordinators. And then bounced around. The Baker performance when he went to the Rams for one game, he was on the team for like 2 days and started for the Rams. As well as he played in that game, you knew that there was something still left with Baker. He becomes a starter down in Tampa, and Baker is one of the best 12 quarterbacks in the league, probably. I love Baker Mayfield, even as an Oklahoma guy. Baker's just awesome. I think he's an underdog story. Despite being the number 1 overall pick, this guy's been overhated his entire career. He's just a gamer, man. Baker's one of those guys, he's not afraid to lower the shoulder, take a hit if it means an extra yard and a first down, which is dangerous at QB, but Baker's tough as nails. He's got a rocket for an arm. He's a playmaker. I love Baker Mayfield, and he's solidly in tier 3, as we're going to throw Michael Penix in unproven but promising. Penix has overall pretty solid arm, of course, and here's the thing with Michael Penix. He will drop a dart from 40 yards out, perfect throw. Sideline, from the hash, bang, perfect throw, or he'll miss you by 5-6 yards. It's just, I don't know if it's a mechanical issue necessarily, but Michael Penix, even at Washington, was extremely inconsistent. But the talent is absolutely there. Bit of an older prospect with some injury history. Michael Penix, I need to see more out of. The tools are there. We'll see what he looks like in, I guess I'd say his true full season number 1. Should be the starter down there in Atlanta as we get to Bryce Young. Bryce he's got to be an unproven but promising. He took a step last year. He really did. And I think the fit with Dave Canales is great. Trying to get him some more playmakers down there in Carolina. Got to get some better receivers. I really do like Jalen Coker quite a bit. And I love bringing in Teteroa McMillan. We'll see what you have in Xavier Legette. And you could see a jump up from some of the tight ends. Chuba Hubbard's been great out of the backfield. Got a really strong running back room for the most part. Bryce Young's taking a step up. I think by the end of the year, it wouldn't be surprising to see Bryce Young up a tier or 2. As we get to Dillon Gabriel. I'm going to say unproven, but expectations are low. I just don't really think that much of Dillon Gabriel. He's a 5'10" quarterback with limited arm strength. I think what you can say of Dillon Gabriel is I think he's capable of getting the football out on time, but for a guy with not a great arm overall, the ball's got to come out early, and I think his ceiling is probably, and this is not just because they're they're lefties, but I think Dillon Gabriel's ceiling is like a Tua Tagovailoa, which I don't really know how we view Tua, but it's not amazing. As we'll show, throw Tyler Shuck in unproven, but expectations are low. He may be the starter in New Orleans because there are not really a lot of options. It's not great. He's got fairly good overall athleticism. The size is obviously very good. He's got a pretty good arm, but man, I don't know that it's all there mentally for a 25-year-old quarterback as a rookie. It makes way too many mistakes. Way too many for a guy that was in college for 7 years. Expectations are not high, but we'll see. As we get to Spencer Rattler, he's right there with Shuck. I mean, I could make some pretty similar arguments for both players. Rattler has flashed a little bit, but I don't know how promising he is. I don't know if he's a future franchise starter. As we get to Matthew Stafford, absolutely a team elevator, regardless of situation. There was a while where we're like, hey, what is Matthew Stafford now? He's been hurt. What can we really expect? Well, when he's healthy, he's fantastic. Can make every throw. Obviously one of the more cerebral quarterbacks in the NFL. He's one of these veterans that's been around forever. Great player. I think would make any team in the NFL better if he got Matthew Stafford. Kyler Murray. Man, Kyler's like Trevor Lawrence-ish to me in the fact that, I mean, they're young enough where I feel like there's potential, but I don't know how much of an elevator Kyler Murray truly is. He's definitely a great improviser, definitely a great runner out in space, but is this guy consistent enough to really bring his team all the way? I don't know. That being said, definitely could use some better weapons there in Arizona. We love Trey McBride. We'll see what Marvin Harrison Jr. has in store in year number 2. And then obviously some other guys in there as well, Michael Wilson. But it's not a great supporting cast. O-line hasn't been great. We'll see if Kyler takes a step up, or is this kind of be middling forever, where we wait for him to take a step up and maybe it never actually comes. Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy's can win with enough talent. I don't think he's good everywhere. Absolutely not. But I think in this style offense with Kyle Shanahan, his strengths are elevated. He's got great overall pocket mobility. That's the thing that's probably the most impressive about Brock Purdy, his overall pocket presence and ability to move, improvise, make plays, get the ball out quickly as well. That's the thing you need to be able to do in San Francisco. Just know what you're doing, get the ball out quickly to the right spots. Purdy does that. His overall accuracy is not incredible. It's not great down the field, but it's good enough. And he's been really, really effective. And I think you'd be lying to yourself if you said Purdy was in pretty much any other category. I don't think you throw Brock Purdy on the Giants and suddenly the Giants are some great offense. I don't. But I think in San Francisco, I think Miami would work for very similar reasons. I think Brock Purdy would absolutely be good enough. As we get to Josh Allen, he's absolutely an elite level quarterback. MVP. Do I think he should have won MVP last year? I think Lamar was probably just better everywhere, but Josh Allen is an incredible player. His development has been astounding to see. He does everything so well. Another guy that's tough as nails. He's like a tight end playing quarterback. The fact that his accuracy has come as far as it has, we already know about the pure arm strength is off the charts. Allen is a freak of nature. This guy is so fun to watch. He might be the most fun to watch player in the NFL. He is a beast and absolutely in the top tier. We're not going to spend too much more time on this as we get to Tua. I think Tua is in this category. Like, he to me is like a Geno or a Jared Goff. I think he's got the worst arm talent of anybody in this tier, of course. But what Tua does well is throw with anticipation. He's got pretty good overall accuracy. Can he throw the ball down the field? Sometimes. But he's not really a guy that can see something open and bang, hit it quickly. He just doesn't have the arm talent to do that. But if he knows where the ball's going and where it needs to go, I think he can read a defense well enough, get the football out quickly, throw with anticipation, make plays that way. But it sounds like a lot of the time it's Mike McDaniel basically saying what's going to be open and where the ball needs to go. Maybe more so than Tua just being so cerebral and individually talented. I think he is in one of these great situations like Purdy, and he's able to be effective enough, but I don't know that he is ever going to be able to truly elevate a team to the next level as we get to Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields is in the Russell Wilson tier, where, yeah, he's like a fringe starter, but we have seen Justin Fields make the same mistakes for his entire career now. Granted, it's not a super long career, but it's also not that short of a career either. This was the Kadarius Toney draft. The Giants moved back. The Bears moved up to take Justin Fields. And it's still, he's so late on everything. Justin Fields is not on time for anything. I don't know if he's showing up to practices on time, but the throws are all late. You need to be able to make decisions quickly in the NFL, and to be holding the ball as long as he continues to do his entire career, is that ever going to change? Is he ever going to speed things up and hit open receivers as they're coming open? I don't know. I kind of don't think so, because we've been waiting for it, and he still is not doing it. Great athlete, you gotta be more than that at this point. Drake May is unproven but promising. He had a great rookie year. The numbers are not incredible, but he didn't really even play that much, especially the first few games. When he actually started starting games for the Patriots, man, this guy was super impressive. And it's with an awful offensive line and basically no playmakers. Drake May has the makings of a star. I think he could absolutely move up. The situation is still not great. The O-line maybe is better, but it's not great. The playmakers are better, but not great. A healthy Stephon Diggs, I think, could make Drake May take a huge step up. I like some of the other weapons in the room, but they're not big-time weapons. They're just, like, fine. Like, Pop Douglas is totally fine. Kendrick Bourne is totally fine. We'll see about Kayshon Boutte. I think he's totally fine. There's a lot of players that are just, like, fine, but maybe not super elite. As we're going to throw CJ Stroud into team elevators regardless of situation, he was so great as a rookie and was not that great in year two. I think there are a number of variables for that. A lot of receivers getting hurt. Bobby Slowick not being as great of a play caller as maybe we thought. I'm willing to give CJ Stroud the benefit of the doubt because of how good he was as a first-year player. And if you went back and actually watched the film, it wasn't CJ Stroud just benefiting from a great situation. This guy was making individually great plays. And that, to me, is enough, like Jaden Daniels, to give him the benefit of the doubt and maybe elevate him above, because that's what I think he can be. But I think CJ Stroud deserves to be in that tier. Daniel Jones, as we can surely do better than this. He's going to be the starter in Indianapolis. Daniel Jones is not good. Another guy like Justin Fields where he's got no internal clock. The ball does not come out quickly enough. He's got basically no arm talent either. I mean, it's pretty shocking. He's so conservative with the ball and still manages to make as many mistakes as he does. It's super disappointing. My expectations were incredibly low when the Giants drafted him. I hated the pick. Maybe not as much, or maybe like I like Jackson Dart a bit more than Daniel Jones, but I really hated the Daniel Jones pick. If you think I didn't like the Jackson Dart pick, I really hated the Daniel Jones pick, and I hated to be right on it because I would love for the Giants to be good. I really would. The fact that the Colts are like, maybe it'll work for us, it's a mistake. Like, Anthony Richardson is not great, but at least there could be something. Daniel Jones, we know what you are, and it's bad. I don't know that it could be worse. It's really bad. Lamar Jackson's absolutely elite. You can make an argument he's the best quarterback in the NFL right now. His 2024 was absolutely incredible. He's an amazing player. People still think of Lamar as a running back. I don't know if it's just a joke or if people are genuinely that stupid, but this guy doesn't really even look to run as much as he should because it's such a weapon. He's always looking to throw. He can make every throw. His accuracy's come such a long way as well. He's an awesome player. One of the most fun players to watch in the league, for sure. He just does everything so well. He elevates any team that he's on. I guarantee it. He is incredible. Joe Flacco. I think we know what Joe Flacco is, and it isn't good, but it could be worse. He is a starter where you're like, we can win a couple games with this guy, but he's probably not going to take you all the way at this point. But you can definitely do worse. As we make it to Shedeur Sanders, this is a tough one because I like Shedeur, but there's a long way to go. He doesn't have the best overall athleticism or arm talent, but he's accurate. He really is accurate. I think he's somewhere in between expectations are low and unproven but promising. But he's also not, we know what you are and it could be worse. I'm going to give Shedeur the benefit of the doubt. See, he's not Drake May, though. Like, that's the problem with throwing all these guys together, is I think there's a huge gap between Drake May and Shedeur Sanders. There might need to be another tier under here where it's like like legitimately unproven, but maybe there's something there. Because I think these first few guys are very different than the last few, but I'm going to leave it as is for now. Sam Darnold is on the verge of taking a step up or falling off completely. I think he's just as good as these other guys. Sam Darnold's totally fine. You can do worse. I am thoroughly encouraged by the progress he's made from year one to now. Didn't really ever look like Sam Darnold ended up being a starter, but he's a solid enough starter. And do I think there's a really good chance that he stays the same here or drops slightly, and then Drake May, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, Bryce Young, Cam Ward, blah, 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 all these guys are above Sam Darnold a year from now? I think absolutely, but for right now, you can do worse than Darnold. He's a solid enough starting quarterback, and so is Aaron Rodgers. I think he belongs with these guys. Rodgers is obviously not the MVP that he used to be, but he was better than a lot of people would give him credit last year. So many drops with the Jets. Another not-so-great situation. I get that Aaron Rodgers is often categorized as a diva, and the off-the-field stuff is a little bit annoying, for sure. But the guy is a good quarterback who's been amazing in the past, and I think there's a chance for the Steelers that can go out, win 8 or 9, maybe even 10 games like they always do, and get a wild card spot in the AFC. I think it's absolutely in play. I worry a bit about the weapons there in Pittsburgh. You lose George Pickens. I get that you add DK Metcalf. We'll see what Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf are able to do together. But I think it's a better overall spot than the Jets last year. And I think Rodgers could absolutely re-solidify himself as a fringe top 10 quarterback at this point. I think Rodgers is still about a top 15 QB in the league. Or I'll say top half, top 16. But he's definitely not the player he used to be. But this is going to be my tier list. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Some of these tiers probably could be further separated, but this is basically how I feel about all these quarterbacks heading into 2025. I could be talked up or down a tier for a number of different players, but this is pretty much it. I know we're going to disagree probably on Herbert, Hurts, Dak, Goff for sure, Rodgers maybe, Bo Nix probably, but that's pretty much it. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.